I'm back here in the BevCam doing my second podcast. This is really exciting.
It's very exciting to have you here. Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you so much. And for anyone joining for the first time, this is a continuation of a conversation started yesterday with Amanda Hurley, who's the education director.
She's the education manager, yeah.
Education manager. And I'm here with another person from BevCam. So it's Liz DeFury. And Liz is the community engagement manager.
Yes.
Which is fabulous. So I don't know, can you just say a brief word about what you do as a community engagement manager?
I make friends. So I handle most of BevCam's marketing, social media, various types of events, community partnerships, some business development, and outside of that, I'm also a children's illustrator.
That's amazing. So we have an artist here, which is perfect.
Yes, I heard this was all about art. I got excited. I'm ready.
Well, I don't know if anyone mentioned, but I think I mentioned it to you, but I taught for many years at Montserrat College of Art, which is right down the street from BevCam. And I taught kind of introduction to socially engaged art, which was the subject of the podcast yesterday.
And that was my first time hearing about it. And it sounds like such an interesting topic. I'm really excited to learn so much about it today.
Yeah, and in so many ways, this whole podcast is set up as a way for people, on their own time, online, kind of offline, online teaching. It's asynchronous would be a kind of online class that you can do it on your own. But if anybody's interested in learning about the background to the artist residency that I'm doing with my art collective at the Ocean Alliance for the month of September, this is a kind of a background for my work and thinking about where some of where I'm coming from in the project. And we talked about yesterday, which I haven't mentioned to you, but the art collective involved in the residency is made up of 5 people. And everyone has different backgrounds, and it's a major strength of doing work in an art collective. So I'm kind of an academic. I just always have done that, and I have a PhD in philosophy and art theory. And I taught for maybe a decade around Montserrat, but many colleges around Boston. And most recently at Emerson College, teaching environmental ethics in the philosophy department. So I have this kind of art and philosophy side. So in many ways, this is like you doing it, like take a philosophy class with me.
And which is so exciting. No, this is really cool. Just seeing how all of those different background pieces have come together in this project. So we should, for lack of a better pun, we should dive into it.
Let's dive in. So, one of the things that I am so proud of with my work is that I just finished my book. And I have to say, it took me like 10 years to do.
It looks like it took 10 years to do. And it's gorgeous. And this is the unpublished version, right?
Correct. It's off to the publisher.
Yeah. So this is your first sneak peek of it. And it looks like it's just meaty and just full of really good content. So can you tell us a little bit about what's in it?
Sure. It develops this idea of the title. I should start with that. It's called Place as Medium. So I put little dashes. Place as Medium as a kind of a marker of a kind of a specific way of practicing art, like socially engaged art is a term that came in. But Place as Medium is something I came up with. So that so it goes place as medium and new grounds for thinking in contemporary art. So I think that's kind of the philosophy side of it, new grounds for thinking. And where it connects with the residency at the Ocean Alliance, which is the Gettleman Artist Residency, Environmental Installation Art. I just want to, give the full name, sponsored by the Rocky Neck Art Colony. It's really important that they are the sponsors of this. But that whole, and we talked about yesterday this thing called open art schools.
Yeah.
We can backtrack and I can explain that.
Yeah, sure.
But the open art school is dedicated to ocean thinking.
Okay, what does ocean thinking mean?
This is the whole question that we will unfold for a month at Ocean Alliance.
Yeah.
What is ocean thinking? So it's actually, it could be many, many things, but within the project, it becomes something that we all learn together.
Okay.
That's kind of specific to the project. And we're whale expeditioners who are almost jumping, talk about diving in,
Yeah.
we're jumping on the back of the whales and diving in with the whales.
Literally or
and
figuratively?
singing. Well,
Or both?
We use speculative fabulation.
Okay.
That's another term we talked about
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's a good one. That is a
Do you
really
know
good
that
term.
one?
I could not define it, but I think in context I've kind of got it. For the viewers at home, maybe you should give a definition.
Well, it's funny because the Rocky Neck Art Colony, the committee that, you know, we kind of tried to introduce ourselves as speculative fabulation, and they said, is there any way you could, I don't know what that means, can you reframe it? And so we came up with creative storytelling in the imagination that is, it's sort of freed from the normal constraints
Okay.
that we often live by. And believe it or not, it's a really well-known term in kind of graduate programs
Gotcha.
in art.
Yeah.
And a lot of people around the world are using this. You know, it's kind of like,
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun
Yeah.
to do first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like aside from all of the really interesting applications, it just sounds like fun. And then you're talking about applying both philosophy and ethics in there. So now you're getting into a lot of different layers.
yes. And so ocean thinking, it's like, what happens if we start thinking beyond the human alone?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just start with thinking humans and whales thinking together.
Okay.
The whales, just because they live in the beautiful ocean and they are like ballerinas and they sing songs and they have friends and they play, they already are engaged in their world of ocean thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They think like ocean thinking. We're like land creatures.
Yeah.
And maybe we go out into a boat, and maybe we scuba dive. But here in Beverly, we're right on the edge of the ocean, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have a kind of ocean thinking. But in the context of the project itself, it's something that everybody involved in it makes the definition of ocean thinking for the project.
And that's a lot of value. Like being able to do that and collectively define it is where a lot of the value comes from.
Correct. And that's socially engaged art. Socially engaged art,
right,
meaning
we got there.
participatory, right? We
Yeah.
made it. And so you can do, socially engaged art takes so many forms. It can be political. It can be ecological. It can be, and a lot of people are engaging with worlds outside of the human alone. It is happening, but kind of more and more, almost because of the planetary crisis of, that it's like people want to move beyond just thinking only about what happens in the human world.
It feels like it's this connecting theme throughout all of these different people and cultures, and we're all coming back to this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, you would be good in my environmental ethics class.
Oh, thanks.
Because we start with indigenous philosophy.
Okay.
That is really ancient.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, and there was so much connection to the natural world. We've modernized so much. We have so much technology. We have big cities. We fly in planes and go into outer space. And
And in a lot of ways, we're decoupled from nature, even though sometimes it can feel like we're closer, but because, we have so much access. But yeah, a lot of times it maybe in some ways we are more decoupled from it than we used to be.
Right. And environmental philosophy is relatively new in the practice of philosophy. And it probably just happens naturally because with so much, when you have landfills and all the issues that come with the modern world, people start questioning the ethics of how we are obligated. It's kind of like, what is our mutual obligation to each other? It's a kind of a way to think about ethics. So with an environmental ethics, it's like, taking to consideration not just the human, but, the whole shebang.
Yeah, everything that is connected therein. And the human part is also a part of that connection. So going back to the title of your book has this really interesting phrase, place as medium, which we touched on a little bit. But can you say more about what the core values of what that means are?
That's such an awesome question for me.
No, I'm excited. Like clearly there's a lot of layers to this. So I'd love for you to break down that phrase for us some more.
Yeah. Well, place as medium, like I said, is in a way, we'll break it down. Place, obviously it has to do with being in a place and understanding the place. Beverly is a place. Salem is a place. Beverly and Salem are kind of different, but we're connected to the ocean. We're connected to each other, shared history. So what is place? What's your favorite place?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough question. My favorite place is actually probably on Lake Ontario, because that's where I grew up. I grew up in the Niagara Falls area. Talk about thinking about an area with all of the different layers of history and ecology and the ethics. Very interesting place to grow up. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite places.
Well, I'm getting the chills because my grandmother told me, go to Niagara Falls at some point in your life. And I just had this opportunity and I just drove there this year. Oh, yeah? So I know that magic.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, it's got an energy all its own. It just can't really be defined unless you've been there.
Right. So, place as medium is kind of thinking through place. So when you talk about how Niagara Falls has its own kind of ethics, where would you land with that, just off the top of your head?
Oh, there's so many things, right? Because you have a lot of different groups that have laid claim to that area in so many different ways. So the ethics around how to use it and who gets to be there and for what, like growing up, that it's a big part of what is just a part of your life, such as both the Canadian government and the U.S. government have the ability to control how much water goes over the falls at any given time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't really know, is that the hydroelectric plants there are still very much used. And in addition to the fact that during the summer, tourists come way more often than in the winter, they actually have less water going over the falls in the winter than they do in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch there, but recently, and I'm sorry to deep dive into this.
This is exactly right.
Recently, quite a few years ago recently, within my adult life, the entire watershed area was determined a World Heritage Site. And so the ethics around how to use that land has changed pretty drastically in terms of what you're allowed to do. There were plenty of things that the government, the local governments, and the companies trying to make more money based on tourism, as well as the indigenous people who still very much live there. There's so many different forces talking about how the land should be used, and now it's changed a lot more to be much more wary of what the ecological impact of using that land and water is. So Yeah, that it's a complicated question for me to answer. You can tell.
Yes, but you get to the heart of it, right? So place, you first have to define, like almost map it out. It is geographical. Like Niagara Falls is like no other place on earth.
Yeah.
But it's at the border.
It
so
is,
it has
yeah.
political,
so half of the
geopolitical.
river is owned by Canada and half of it is owned by the U.S.
And it brings so many people from around the world, right? When I went there, people were speaking different languages. I knew people were there from everywhere.
Absolutely. And you could argue that, just like people who come to Beverly or Salem, you could argue that everyone who comes to a place, even if they have no connection to that place other than they've traveled there just to be there, it belongs to them a little bit too.
Exactly.
In many ways. They make a memory there or something like that. So in a lot of ways, that energy ends up belonging to many more people than just the people who have a direct claim on that land and how to use it.
Yes. So this is taken a long time to do, but when you think through place, you have to think not just for yourself. You are thinking through place with even all the people who care about it and who have that ownership, but also, the river. And in environmental philosophy, there are more and more you see lawsuits about the rights of the river. In New Zealand recently there was something, and I think in California too.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw the one about New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah, so in a way, the river thinks through the problems too, in the sense that it creates something, so it creates something that brings a gathering of entities around the place, the same way that the river and the whatever that is at Niagara Falls. I don't know, like what happened geologically in history. Icebergs.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's very curious. It's got like horseshoe.
And the river runs north, which is not common on Earth.
Wow.
Yeah. It's one of a very few number of rivers that run north. The Nile is one of them.
The Nile is one.
Yeah.
I did know that one, but I did not know
And the
that
Niagara
about
River is one of them.
The Niagara River.
Icebergs.
Oh my gosh. I went in December, and it's
Ooh.
wild with the wind coming from
Yeah,
Canada.
December's a cool time to go. It's a completely different vibe. So I'm glad you got to see, like, not a lot of tourists get to experience it on the off season. And I think it's just as powerful.
Oh, it's gorgeous with all the lights and everything.
Yeah.
So it sort of activates, this kind of thinking that already is not like, I have to go to the grocery store and, how am I going to, get everything I need to get done and, what's going on here and there. It's almost like it lets you think in a different way.
Yeah.
So ocean thinking is something that you don't normally do.
And I feel like we could definitely bring that back to Beverly with the way that the ocean tides work here, which is a totally different experience to how I grew up in the place where I'm from. So, being able to plan your day around, well, not at the moment, getting over bridges that maybe are doing different things depending on if boats need to pass by, or even just like looking out your window and seeing that a once very enthusiastic river is now almost completely dry because the tide is out.
Yes.
And that's something that fascinated me when I moved here. So I feel like I'm starting to understand what you mean when you're talking about how all of these different things work together into ocean thinking. Am I getting there?
You're getting there.
Oh, yes.
And,
all right.
Just another think about, like, the ocean thinking isn't one thing. It's very specific to place, actually.
Yeah.
So at the Ocean Alliance, they are whale scientists.
Yeah.
And in the early years, the founder, Roger Payne, used to go with his family every winter, I think, to the bottom of Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Which is right. It's
That's
very
an intense
windy.
place to be in winter.
It's super windy. Well, it's their summer.
Oh, okay, fair.
But, right?
Yes.
Because it's our winter, their summer. So it's like the only
threw
time.
me for a head trip.
Exactly.
Yes, I
And
understand.
there was like a cliff, and you could look out. You could sit on the little cabin and look at the whales.
Yeah.
So they were observing that world, but because of the specific place, the whales love to play in storms and wind, and
Yeah.
they sail. They put their tails up and they sail. And they don't do that here.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's thinking through play. That's a different kind of
And
ocean
they travel
thinking.
thousands of miles to do that.
Yes.
Sometimes just to do that. Sometimes we don't even know like any reason other than, oh, they're playing. Like they're not here to mate. They're not here. They're on their way somewhere else, but they stopped here. And why? And sometimes it's just joy.
Just joy. I can, another anecdote that they just discovered is that whales in Hawaii, there's an underground active volcano that sometimes, gets activated and things come up.
Yep.
And they've observed whales coming, and almost like in just like they're
hot
just
water
enjoying
bath?
it. Or the whales going up and watching the aurora borealis.
Oh, wow.
So like Arctic ocean thinking is
Right.
different than, underwater
Anywhere
Hawaii
else, yeah.
ocean thinking.
Yeah.
If you're a surfer or you're a fisher person, it's so anyway, we're kind of getting to this place as medium and new grounds for thinking.
I'm starting to put it together, I think.
And so medium in the art world, the way people think about it is that artists choose certain mediums. Your medium is children's illustration.
Yes.
That's your medium.
Yeah.
That's how you express yourself as an artist.
How I tell my stories, yeah. Yeah.
And some people are painters, some people are sculptors, some people are dancers, some people are musicians.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a medium. It's the way we convey our ideas and put them into form into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say place as medium, the concept is that that specific place is the medium of the artwork. If it's socially engaged, it involves lots of people, and it's kind of an event. You kind of get the idea. You really have to be there in places medium.
I'm definitely getting that. So,
Yeah.
Specific to this residency, how is it currently being defined there, and what are your plans for the residency?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So the Art Collective, we've been working together for 2 years, and we, Ocean School as a way, and it was always related. One of our members, Reese Siswick, worked at the Ocean Alliance for many years, and it's a small organization of scientists. And so we had this great opportunity to almost like, we could have done, I don't know, woods thinking and not been involved. But because of those circumstances, that there was an opportunity there, it became Ocean School. The way that, I have all these chapters in the book, but, after going from understanding place as medium, what does it mean to think through place? Not just you thinking through place, but thinking through place with the ocean. You almost have to connect the two,
Yeah.
because it's a different thinking than you would have if you were in traffic. That's traffic
thinking.
Traffic jam thinking is different than ocean thinking, okay?
Yeah.
So
one of these seems far more enjoyable to engage in than the other. Just going to throw that out there. But, I could see a value in traffic jam thinking.
So we were trying to say, like, how do we connect with the world of the whales? Well, obviously the ocean is that. And actually the Ocean Alliance they were among the instigation of the Save the Whales movement, and therefore conservation. But then it became bigger about ocean conservation and the toxicity of the ocean, because that was the greatest threat to whales once whaling was ended.
Right.
And so now the Ocean Alliance uses this fabulous technology, and they just had a birthday party, 10 years of the Snotbot. It's a drone, right?
What is the
It's a drone.
Snotbot?
They're out on the boat, and they send up the drone, and the whales come up to breathe, obviously.
Yeah.
And they have this blow, and the Snotbot goes and has kind of a petri dish, grabs the blow.
My goodness.
Whales are bioindicators of the
health of the ocean.
And so they've been collecting these for years, and they can tell that, how things are changing.
I was wondering how you were going to explain the name of Snotbot, and this is so relevant to that name,
Yes.
and yet not at all disgusting. I wasn't prepared for that explanation.
It's hysterical.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. I never thought about how, you know, the water and air that we see coming out of when a whale breaches.
Blows.
Yeah.
Or breaches. Yeah.
I guess that's not the right term for what you're talking about. Yeah, I never thought about like all of the data that could be in that. That is brilliant.
It's so fabulous. So, you know, with this idea that it's already embedded in the specific kind of ocean thinking that's already happening at Ocean Alliance. They have this incredible 55-year history of ocean thinking. It started with these early discoveries that the humpback whales were singing songs.
Yeah.
And that just changed everything because it was all of a sudden this human connection. It wasn't just observing scientifically whales
Right.
and trying to
It wasn't
measure
just
them.
this animals making sounds. It was, wait, I know I have I can relate to that as a person.
Yeah.
And
It's
that makes
fascinating.
it puts it into a whole different category.
Yeah, and they started doing this early research, and they have this beautiful archive, and they have, you know, these giant scrapbooks with pictures of the whales' tails, and somebody with a, you know, kind of a marker watching the whale come up at 9:25 and start singing, and then another whale called Joiner at, you know, 9, I don't know, like 10, and they were swimming together for this long. And, you know, you see everything that they're doing, that early research, trying to understand
And then there's a
what's
logic
going
that's
on.
born from that.
Yeah, because then it's like, what are they doing? You know what? They're migrating. They sing when they go from the Caribbean, which is the birthing ground, and the summer. You know, I mean, it's in the winter you want to be in the Caribbean, right? And then you come up. They all kind of come up and arrive at the Stellwagen Bank to feed, because the Stellwagen Bank is kind of high, so that it's easy to get the fish. The fish come up.
Yeah.
And so, and then they play and they excursions. And when you go on a whale watch, all the whale watch, you know, captains and people working on the boat communicate with all the other whale watch people, and they know for many, many decades whales. They have names.
Right.
They have babies. They know the, you
Whole
know, they
family
know what they're
lines.
like. And sometimes they swim with one whale, and you know, the next somebody said, "Oh, I saw." You know, we have a couple that we know in our collective. Tyr, you know, Tyr is swimming with, you know, so and so. Anyway, it's just like almost never ending in terms of interesting ways to think about it. But what happened, and remember, I don't know if you know this, but it's probably in the public imagination, but they had an album of humpback whale songs.
I feel like I've come across that.
And then they made this record and they put it in, I think it was Life magazine or
did
National
they play it
Geographic.
underwater? Is that what I'm remembering?
No,
Or-
it's
that was a
like
different thing.
it's the largest distribution of any record in history.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then that record is the golden record that just went out of the solar system.
Oh.
So
Very-
it's like
that's
it's like a
wonderful.
thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, it hit the public imagination.
Yeah.
But what did it is it hit the heart.
So, do you feel like that could be a really good example for the kind of opportunities that participating with the public in some of this like place as medium, and just taking something that could have only been within the science community, but now is in conjunction with art and is now in the public consciousness? And like, what are the different ways that the public could participate with these types of projects?
Well, I would say it does have something to do with the way that we almost like spend our life thinking in a way. If you can open up your mind and heart to ocean thinking, right? And you do it with other people, in a way, we kind of like, you almost can touch any part of the globe if you do ocean thinking. And if you use speculative fabulation, because you don't have to spend
That's
3
still a
weeks
crazy word.
going around to, you don't actually have to take the boat across the ocean.
Right.
But you can touch everywhere. So if you almost like, I kind of like it, you pull your sock inside out.
Mm-hmm.
If we were thinking through ocean thinking rather than through our human world thinking, it just kind of allows you to think through different things. You might care about the whales, or you might care about the health of the ocean. You might care about the noise under the ocean. You might, and then you get involved. And what you can do with art is very playful and creative, and it always has been.
Yeah.
Myths talk about the difficulty of being in this world sometimes, whether it's like surviving a flood or, so it's always like, how do you do it? It kind of separates from the harsh reality. So if, kind of young environmentalists who start thinking about, kind of the enormity of how the planet is changing so rapidly with, for example, it just popped up yesterday that the blue whales have gone silent in the Pacific because they have a heat wave in the ocean in the Pacific.
Oh, wow.
And they're like a little bit alarmed.
Yeah.
Because they've been recording the blue whale songs, and they are really deep.
Yeah.
They go in the
So
deep
that
terrain.
temperature is clearly affecting them in a way that has never happened before.
That's right. So it's like, if we can, I really love art. I like what kind of, when you do children's book illustrations, in a way, you might be talking about something that in a normal way in ordinary life might be difficult or might be understandable, but you can kind of deliver it in a way that, okay, that makes sense to a child, right?
We have like a whole genre called big emotions.
Yeah.
Because kids feel everything that adults feel. It's just oftentimes very new for them, so it can feel way more overwhelming because they have none of the tools to deal with it. And this sounds like the perfect kind of bridge between like the theory that you're explaining and the way that we might focus in on that in order to help explain something that feels really, really overwhelming in a way that changes a perspective so that it can be coped with.
Within the reality of it.
Within the reality of it, yeah. It's not going away, but you can change how you react to it.
Exactly.
And sometimes that makes a really big difference over whether or not it ultimately ends up being a negative interaction or a healthy interaction. I won't say negative and positive, but like a healthy interaction. And then maybe things can change for the positive.
Right. So maybe, that example of the Save the Whale movement that really was instigated by the connection to the song, which is a form of art. It's not human art. They have already developed that. Whales have been around 30 million years. Human kind of ancestry has been around for 1 million.
Yeah.
So, and they're just so playful. We don't understand their songs. We can't translate what they're saying. But whales, I said this to Amanda yesterday, if you go from the floor to the ceiling, that is the range of a whale's, where they can vocalize.
Yeah.
Humans are about this big. So it's like they're expressing, I believe they're expressing concrete poetry. I think they might be talking about epics.
That.
It's like,
I would
Homer.
believe that 100%.
And if the songs repeat, maybe they remember the old song, maybe they are kind of myths or stories, or we don't know, and there's something, but we do have technology, and there's a group called SETI. Have you heard of SETI with an S? It's like Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
No, that's a new concept for me.
There's a group that have been using computers, or they kind of, it's very computational. They have to scan the stars to find radio signals. So they called it, Search for Extraterrestrial Life. But this group who got interested in whales, it's CETI,
Okay.
cetacean,
Oh,
that's the word for
cetaceous, yeah.
whales, translation initiative. So they are
Oh.
putting AI on the job to, all whales are so
That is
different.
a good use of AI.
Yeah, and it's the sperm whales click. They go,
Right.
and so anyway, they've been using the computers to just try to decode the language, right? And
Oh, that is
I
fascinating.
heard that they came up with the first word that they're pretty sure about, dive.
That would make sense. That would make sense. And with people, it's usually mama or papa. But with sperm whales, they sleep towards the surface of the water, and then they dive down to feed on squid way, 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 way below. So diving is a huge function of sperm whales.
I did not know that.
I watch a lot of nature documentaries. When you said you were doing stuff about whales, I was like, I am ready for this.
That's really cool. So it is, and with the speculative fabulation, going back to our art collective and what we're going to do in the residency, is we are, we actually have made contact with the whales. They can communicate through one of our members. She can transmit what they're saying.
Okay.
So
is this on the scientific side or on the like through vibes side?
I
or
would
is it
say
some
it's
combination
well,
of things?
because we're talking about art here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's in the realm of the muse.
Gotcha.
I had to write this whole book. You have to. It's like when you open your thinking, it almost comes through you. I don't know if you have that experience when you're making book.
Yes.
Like books, or how
there
you're
is
going to do it.
there is a lot of moment. I think many artists can relate to that feeling of when you're trying to explain something that you don't otherwise have a direct experience for, and sometimes it just feels like
it comes through you.
Yeah, you just like a muse is actually probably how that word came into being, is through that feeling, I imagine.
Right. So that's kind of the way I would describe it. It's almost like being like so open to that possibility that we could be communicating with the whales, that it comes in.
Yeah.
And other things too. I mean, we live in such a mysterious world of wonder, and why not, in our collective, we say weapon is our wonder is our weapon. So we're not out there, I don't know, like in the old whaling days, we're not going out to get the whales.
Right.
But we are doing something else that is impactful. But we are, we're trying to help this process of, kind of changing thinking why not?
Yeah.
Right? And how are we going to do that? We use wonder as our weapon.
I really like that. I really like that idea. I also heard a cool phrase pretty recently, a YouTuber that I watch. You think about aliens up in space, but they call it alien ocean underneath, and they're a deep sea scientist. So they do YouTube explaining about different ecological aspects of the deepest parts of the sea. Very cool. I got to give you that recommendation later. But just thinking about like such unknowable. In some instances, maybe it will forever be unknowable to us. But just there's so many mysteries just right here on planet Earth that we have yet to even scratch the surface of.
It's so true, and we kind of, we have two pillars of inspirations for this particular residency, and the Roger Payne, who recently passed away, who was the founder, and I already mentioned him, but the other person is Sylvia Earle.
Okay.
And I think she's called something like the Queen of the Ocean, or I don't know. She has a title.
Quite a title.
She's an oceanographer, and she did early like going on submarine, and she's a very powerful speaker for the ocean, very hopeful.
Yeah.
In the sense like we are learning so much about the ocean.
You can share a little secret. Is she actually a mermaid? You can tell us.
Maybe she maybe she,
Or maybe you
or
can't tell
maybe
us. I would
she's
understand.
Maybe
I would
she
understand.
wasn't a mermaid in a mythical space, and then she became an oceanographer.
I expect someone with the title of Queen of the Sea probably has some credentials that maybe,
I feel like it's the wrong title.
I'm just teasing.
It's something fabulous, though.
Yeah.
It's like that she's done her dues, right, as a scientist and as an oceanographer, but she does talk about the ocean as a place that we're learning a lot about, but is still mysterious. So it is like outer space because it's all there, and her kind of message is that we're in a time where we can actually take care of the health of the ocean. It's not irreparable. It just requires ocean thinking. So we're getting there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're understanding the sort of like, the promise of this kind of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any expeditions coming up?
Yeah, we sure do. We are on an expedition that it is September 4th starting, and we're going to have a press conference, and because we are on an expedition, we are like those commercial space expeditions that just happened, and that we each bring something to it. The expedition's going to happen on September 28th.
Does it have a title?
It has a title, but it's hard to share because it's in the title is coming to us, because it's kind of still coming to us, because it's in like a language. We just called it Expedition 1.
Gotcha.
But it's not going to be called Expedition 1.
I mean, you could call it that, because that could be really mysterious sounding as well. You just got to,
Expedition 1. Well, it's our first expedition out to the Stellwagen bag.
There you go.
It's like we could go. Where could we go next? Let's go to, I don't know. Why not go to New Zealand? So that would be Expedition 2.
That's a pretty big jump between Expedition 1 and 2. Expedition 1, our backyard. Expedition 2, other side of the world.
Other side of the world. Oh, I'd love to go to Antarctica.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun? But
we could go together and swim with the penguins. We probably shouldn't swim in Antarctica.
Maybe, kayaking,
maybe like we could have like an imaginative session or a speculative
Fabulation. Well, yes. So it is. So the expedition. So 3 of them, like beyond wealthy, it's like this. We're just in a very interesting time. Sir Richard Branson was the first to do the commercial space.
Yeah.
Virgin Galactic.
I remember
and he
reading
went up
about
with that. Yeah, I watched it live. It was very exciting. And
he's also done a lot of ocean projects too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did a whole art ocean project down in the Virgin Islands, I believe, where they had sunk this huge ship that really needed to be retired, and they turned it into a coral reef and had an artist come in and build a steel octopus structure around it to make it a really cool diving site.
Wow.
Yeah, there's this whole documentary about it.
That is amazing.
So he's also has done space and ocean. I'm just remembering that connection there, and yeah.
Yeah, and that is amazing. I'm going to check that out, because it's very interesting.
It's very cool.
And to have that kind of experience, to go into outer space, to go down into the under the ocean, these are powerful human experiences.
Yeah.
And we can share it through technology. Like I saw it live, and I saw Katy Perry getting off and kissing the earth after they went up. Oh my God. I don't know if you saw that clip.
I could only imagine. My husband and I made each other a promise right before our wedding. We said, if either of us gets the opportunity to go to space on our wedding day, the other is okay with it.
Oh man, I would not want to go to outer space. I don't even think, I don't know, except for in speculative fabulation. I'm very excited to go down the ocean for this expedition, but I'm not sure I would be able to go underwater. You know, I'm not sure. Maybe I would in a submarine or something. But outer space, like, that's way too much for me.
There's, you should be scared, right? Like, there's a lot of really good reason to be afraid to do that. I feel like you have, I feel like you have enough respect for nature to be afraid of those things. And if you're not afraid of those things, you don't have enough respect for it.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the expedition. So we take this very, you know, it's so honored. Like, we're so honored to have this. We're the first art collective to be invited for it's Getterman environmental artist residency that is embedded in the Ocean Alliance.
Yeah.
And they always, you know, it's a process residency. So you're given the time and space for a whole month to arrive. Generally the opening is artist's talk to give the background, and then you kind of make it up during that month, and then you present it at the end. So, you know, with us, it's about the initial press conference is almost like, you know, what would happen a month before the launch? How would you introduce all the different people who are going to go up into the space expedition?
Yeah.
You know, it was very painful, but the week I graduated from college was the Challenger explosion.
Wow.
And everybody felt that.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you probably heard about it, but one of the astronauts was a teacher. You know, it's like, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's one of those collective human experiences.
It really, really was. But so in the press conference, you say, who are you? What do you take into this expedition? So it's like a chance. It's like, so press conference. And then we'll do our thing. And then the expedition is like, come along with us. We're going to take you on this expedition.
Yeah.
But in a way, it helps, you know, and it could be the topic of another podcast. I have no idea how long we've gone, but we can get into it. If you do kind of places medium, one of the considerations, we kind of talked about participation, how do you bring people in? But another consideration is, what are the things of the project that help you think through it in a certain way? So if we have expedition uniforms and a press conference, and we take everybody on an event as if you're going on a whale expedition, but that it's almost like on a magic carpet, and you can breathe underwater, you can talk to the whales, you can you know, do all these different things. That allows us to, you know, so the uniforms is important. The press conference form is important.
It's about defining the gravity of the event.
Or helping people think through it in a particular way, in a very place-based way, that comes together in that event, according to how you do it. So artists, you know, Montserrat College of Art, we pay attention to materials, and it's like how you put the materials together. You know, some people put weird materials together, and then when they put it up, the audience, the viewer has to think through that weird configuration of objects. Right. But you do pay attention to the form that you bring together. So it's a very important consideration.
That is so cool. So how are people going to be able to come along on this? Are there any details yet that people can check out?
Well, we're in, it's, you know, it's still part of the Rocky Neck Art Colony. Yeah. So it's up on the calendar.
Oh, great.
There's tons of art science collaborations happening in September in Gloucester. We're not the only ones. And the Rocky Neck Art Colony.
So a lot of opportunities for the public to become engaged.
Yes, and not just with our project, but with other projects. And in fact, the Rocky Neck Art Colony is sponsoring a group show, and it's in an old church, but it's right there in Rocky Neck. So that's going to be open all September.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, you know, in our ours is Sunday at 2, from 2 to 4 on September 28th. It's already set. We
Yeah.
have the date. And
Oh, I'm so there. I'm going to swim with the whales with you. Like, yes, so there.
okay, fabulous. Well, how are we doing with time?
50 minutes.
50 minutes. Wow, we could do another hour. What do you think?
Would you like to wrap up, or would you like to keep going?
Well, the first podcast was an hour.
Okay.
And maybe we'd just do another 10 minutes just to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because it's so fun to talk to you about this.
This has been such a wonderful conversation. I love this project. Just wholeheartedly. I love the idea. I love the way that you're combining art with the greater social consciousness of ecological justice and ethics, and just finding completely new ways to shift the public perspective on how to think about these problems. This is such a creative way of doing that. And I'm a sucker for anything that marries art and science, and anything marine. So,
well, maybe that's our last topic. It's art and science collaborations.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what are the promise of art science collaborations? What are the challenges of art science collaborations? And
Those are really good questions.
And I told you I taught many classes that were introduction to socially engaged art, and they kind of followed lots of different things. But I ended at Montserrat with a class called, it was art science collaborations facing climate change together. And what I did in the class is I followed many different fabulous projects out there in contemporary art where artists and scientists came together. And so the class just followed lots of different fantastic projects. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've learned from, this doesn't come from just popping out of nowhere.
Right.
But what is really interesting is there's always a challenge with art and science, because art somehow is taken as maybe concerned with beauty or things that
Which
are
is
not about.
Really not the case.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But that is a really big perception. And it feels like one of the greatest values of trying to, like, art and science to me always felt like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
They both require a really healthy level of curiosity and wonder in order to be able to move forward effectively.
Exactly.
And one requires a much harder process, much stricter process to follow than the other. But it feels like art has this unique ability to translate a lot of the really difficult, highly nuanced concepts within science, so that people outside of those communities can access the value of what science brings. Am I getting it?
You're getting it. You could take my class, and here's a great example.
Yeah, I might sign up.
Okay, so these.
I'm gonna be at Emerson.
Okay, these are. It's a husband-wife team. They're Lithuanian, and they've been working in this space, art and science collaborations with technology, for a long time. So they collaborated with the scientists who were measuring the cedar trees in a cedar forest, and the way scientists measure the effects of the heat is through smell. And because
Cedar
it's
is
not smell,
extremely
it's not really
pungent.
smell. It's like when the smell comes up, it's
Right.
because it's too hot, and then they let it out. So if you have certain kind of a camera, you can capture the whatever it is.
That
It's
is
like
fascinating.
like a foggy
Right.
type of
It's almost
emission.
like a pheromone.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like
it's a
hormones,
pheromone. Yes,
yeah.
yes, and it has that amazing smell, right?
Right.
And so so what they did is they created this wonderful large video installation that is maybe as big as this curtain around here,
That's exciting.
and that you could walk into the gallery and you could see that. So you
Wow.
understand what it means for the cedar forest to be heated up. It's like you can understand
when
that
people
thinking.
see it in a way that is like relatable to something that they understand, it completely changes their understanding of it. It makes it personal. As a marketer, that's a huge aspect of what we always try to do whenever we're working with more complicated messaging. How do you make it feel personal so that it matters to people? Right? There are a lot of ethics in marketing too. But
Oh my gosh, Liz, I think we took this full circle.
Yeah.
Coming back to what you do, what I do, we're coming together. And what a fantastic hour. I had so much fun. Thank you so much.
this has been so exciting. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
And best of luck on your expedition.
Thank you.
I hope a lot of people can join you on this. It's really just fascinating. I hope I get to be one of the people who gets to join you on
Yes,
this.
please do.
And excited to see what you're going to talk about next.
Yes. Well, I'm going to be back. This is
Absolutely.
a brand new podcast, and it's so far a blast. So thank you, BevCam, and thank you for being on the storefront.
Let's end with a question.
Okay.
Final question.
Final
If
question.
you could be any sea creature, what would you be?
Oh my gosh,
Any
this
creature
is
that
such a
exists in the
hard.
sea,
This
what
is
would you be?
Such a, it's weird because I just
I know
painted
my
jellyfish,
Oh,
and they're weird, but
jellyfish are super weird. I love them.
that's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. I would be a beluga whale because I've heard that their social structures are so incredibly complicated and they are extremely social, like way more than other whales even. And they have like whole conversations. I would be a beluga whale.
Okay,
They look really funny, but that's, it's kind of my jam. So
love it. All right, thanks, Liz.
thank you.
Thanks, BevCam.